So there we go. Let's connect stream. There we go. And there. Double check with here. Let's go to and mail. Nope. It's the relaxed mail. There we go. All right, and we're showing to be live, and I freaking spelt physical intimacy wrong. Or why I cannot see that is beyond me. So, auto stop. Never mind. All right. Yeah. There we go. And we are running now. As you can see, we've got a little different setup here now. So we're not quite the same as we were just even a couple weeks ago. New spot, new place. So we're getting there. We're making changes as we go. But anyhow, so here we are. Hello, welcome to those that are listening to the show on TikTok. We also are on YouTube, and then we're recording, and then we're going to there we go. We got the live light item tag lit. So we've got sent out the bat signal. So anybody listening on Podcast 2.0 apps will be able to hear too. So let's get this show on the proverbial road. All right, guys. So today is our last episode in the series of what are the different types of intimacies out there. We've been talking about work intimacy. We've talked about, good grief. There's 10 of them. There's emotional and intellectual. Let me get the list brought up. Spiritual, experiential, social, creative, conflict, aesthetic, work, and finally we're to the big kahuna. We are talking about physical intimacy this time. So we have a lot to talk about, but at the same time, it's not anything too terribly bad. We are live and lit. We are on for podcasting 2.0 type of apps out there. I almost said application like I was born in the 70s or something. I was. So anyhow, but we are, we're talking about different types of intimacy, and I've just got myself completely sidetracked there. Yeah, there we go. We're starting off on a good run this time. But anyhow, yeah, I was talking about podcasting 2.0 apps because, we are live and live streaming to podcasting 2.0 apps. You can find live streaming through different apps like the Fountain app, which is available on both the iPhone and Android. You can get us live on, I believe, Castmatic, which is only iPhone only, but Podcast Guru, it works on both platforms. This is a great, it is kind of my go-to for podcasting 2.0 stuff. It has most of the stuff covered. There's a few other things. I also like TrueFans. TrueFans.fm. Fixed to come out with an actual downloadable app out there, and that's going to make things a whole lot more interesting because they cover all the different new types of tags that Podcasting 2.0 has. But anyhow, so you can actually listen while you're driving down the road. You don't have to be watching on TikTok or YouTube or any of those types of things. You can actually just listen to what I am having to say. And this week, we're going to be talking about physical intimacy. Yeah, that got a lot of guys' attention right there. And the reason why we're doing this is because this is the 10th week, and it's gone fast. It has gone a lot faster than I thought it would. And I came across a article on Choose Therapy because I had a lot of my guys talking, wanting to know about intimacy and how do they increase intimacy with their wives. And it sounds like it's like, well, you just be more intimate. Well, you schmooze her more, but these are all different. What everybody suggests actually boils down to what is intimacy. And that's kind of what I started everything off with. It's like, okay, well, let's step back. First off, what in the world is intimacy? And through my searches, I came across a article called Choose Therapy, or on the site called Choose Therapy. And it was about the 10 different types of intimacy that's out there. There's physical intimacy, which is what we're talking about today. We've got emotional and intellectual intimacy. And just as a quick review, emotional intimacy intimacy as a whole is what we share with our loved one, what we share on people that we are close to. All right. That's what intimacy is. What are you sharing? So with our wives, we're going to share from time to time physical intimacy. All right. We're going to hold hands. We're going to, we're going to play the horizontal mambo from time to time. We're going to have these different types of interactions, but physical intimacy also means a hug. So we are physically intimate with our kids. We are physically intimate with our good friends too, because there's maybe times where we haven't seen them in a while. And so what do? We go up and we give them a hug. We put an arm around the shoulder, something like that. That is physical intimacy too. Even something as small as a handshake can be physical intimacy. So we're talking about physical intimacy, but we're also sharing emotional. Are you able to share your emotions with your spouse? This is the big thing the first one that we did. We talked about sharing the emotions. Now, it's not meaning that you share and do emotional vomiting upon your spouse because your boss gave you a hard time today, but it's just, are you able to have your emotions? Are you able to feel your emotions around your spouse? And a lot of guys, because society has told you, you're not supposed to do that, they try to avoid from being emotionally intimate. And that's what women want. Women want you to be emotionally intimate. They want you to feel your emotions. It's not that you have to share them. You don't have to sit there and, well, my boss was mean to me, and so I had a bad day, and I was full of anxiety and fear, and I didn't know what to do. And, no one cares about that, okay? Your wife is just going to mentally check out the moment you try to verbally vomit your emotions all over her, all right? But she wants to see you have those emotions. Don't try to stop those emotions from happening. Don't just hold those emotions back. So we also have the intimacy of intellectual. So how well do you share your thoughts with your spouse? This is one that a lot of guys struggle with, because we want to share our intellect, but then is our wife able to share her intellect with you? So sharing and building and taking her thoughts and making them yours, and taking your thoughts and making them hers, that's part of the intellectual intimacy. Can you have those deep thought conversations with your wife? If you are, great, awesome, keep it up. If not, then, well, that might be something you go on and work on a bit. Another one is spiritual. How spiritual are y'all together? Do y'all go to a church, or do y'all just stand around and go, we're not very religious, but we're very spiritual? Okay, that's BS in many, many different layers, but we're not going to break that particular layer down. But at the same time, you want to be spiritual. Are you able to share your spirituality with your wife? Yes, then you've got a basis of your spiritual intimacy. Experiential. This is kind of the line of demarcation. Anything after experiential basically is just another form or a subset of the experience that you share with your wife. All right. So not only is experiential intimacy you and her going out and having different experiences, going on a trip, going to a museum, going to work at a soup kitchen, doing these things, having these different experiences together is good. Walking the Camino de Santiago would be a spiritual and experiential intimacy that both of you and your wife were able to have. Or if you went with your son or your daughter or your best friend or whoever, with the person you go with, y'all would have some experiences that y'all shared together. And so that's where the physical intimacy comes into. There's also social. How many friends do y'all share with each other? Do you have does she have her friends and they're her friends, and you have your friends and they're your friends? Or do you have some really good friends that are also her friends? And it's kind of a weird deal, because especially if that relationship ever splits apart, you've got those friends who are her friends are going to be on team wife, while your friends are going to be on team you. But how social interactions do y'all share together? So do y'all go out? Do y'all have, go to no, I don't know, I was going to say a dance club. I don't think dance clubs even exist anymore. But you go out, you go amongst the town, go in, have a good time socially with other people. And that is, are you able to share a social interaction with your wife, or are you very withdrawn from her? Creative experiences or creative intimacy is also another subset of the experiential. How well do you create together? Do you create with your spouse? Do y'all create any type of any art, any type of a home? There's a lot of things you can create. And the creative intimacy, the ability to share the creative process with your spouse, is where that comes into play. I'm going to skip over the eighth one for right now because I'll get back to it. But then there's the aesthetic. So what do y'all share the same ideas of what beauty is? Do you have the same views of beauty? Some people do, some people don't. And that makes for allows for y'all to actually dive into the intellectual portion of intimacy. That's kind of the neat thing about this intimacy, is that most intimacies, is they kind of lead into other intimacies. So when you share your aesthetic, conflict, creative, social, experiential, spiritual, intellectual, emotional intimacies, when y'all leak them all together, you're pretty much going to end up winding up having physical intimacy. You're going to get to do hide the baloney. So besides for aesthetic, there's also work. What type of do y'all share your work days with each other? Do you share work together? Can y'all work together efficiently, or do y'all do like me and my wife, and y'all can get stuff done, but there's going to be some hurt feelings at the end of everything? So we need to work on our work intimacy a lot more. We struggle with that. And that's okay. We understand that we struggle with it. Now, the number 8's the one that I kind of jumped over, because this is actually a really important intimacy to have. Jason Gladwell and several other well-known counselors and therapists and folks like that, John Gottman, all say that this type of intimacy is actually very much needed for a relationship to grow and flourish. And this relationship, intimacy, is the conflict intimacy, and that's it's actually kind of an oxymoron. They're two, conflict and intimacy. There's two sides of the spectrum is what they look like. They're two sides of the same coin, but you have to be able to have disagreements with your wife. Can you share your disagreement with your wife and have a discussion about that? Can you have these different and altering views, and one or both of y'all don't run away from it? Is there someone who is conflict avoidant, in that they things start getting a little heated in discussions, they shut down, they turn off. They're like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Fuck off. No, it's out here. And nothing happens, and you don't get nothing anywhere with the relationship because you don't have the ability to break down the BS that's holding everything together, burn the fluff away, and be left with just the true means of what that connection is. And with that true form of connection, any damaged parts that are there, you can actually start to rekindle those. You can repair and reconnect. And so you need conflict and intimacy to get anywhere. So with that, that's what we've been up to so far. We've talked about the emotional, the intellectual, spiritual, experiential, social, creative, conflict, aesthetic, and even work intimacies. But now we are down to the 10th week. We are down to what is physical intimacy. And how does that work? And so, well, we know what a lot of it is. Okay. We know that physical intimacy is, as a whole, when most men first hear it, they're going, oh, there you go. We're playing, we're doing a little bounce, chicka, wow, wow. We're getting it on. We're having sex. And yes, for us guys, that is our greatest means of seeing recognizing that our wife truly loves us. Because we don't have, we can, but the vast majority of men are not going to opt for, I don't want to have sex with you right now because you made me mad. Women control, even though feminists love to run around and they want to say that the patriarchy has all the power. No, the patriarchy doesn't have all the power. Matriarchy doesn't have all the power either. We each have our own levels of power. My power is I can protect my wife from a bad guy. My wife's power is she decides when sex is going to happen. Doesn't take much for, just takes a light breeze and I'm ready to go, even at 50. Now, granted, it's not a teenager rate. It's not like slap. We're here. It's everything's right out of rip. But we're still a red-blooded American man who can get up and go when the time needs to be. But women have that ability. Women have the power to decide, yeah, we're going to have nookie tonight. No, we're not going to have nookie. And so there's a lot of power that women have. And so because we recognize that is a power women have, when we get told no, we make that mean that we are not worthy of our wife's love. Does that mean that's what it actually is? No, but that's how it feels to men. We get denied sex, we get denied physical interactions, and we wonder what's wrong with us. We make it personal. Well, everybody makes all of the bad feelings within them out of something personal that has nothing personal to do with us. Our wife just may be not feeling good. She just, maybe she had a really crappy day at work. She is not in the mood to be dropping clothes. She'd been dealing, maybe you still got kids in the house and one's still in diapers and it barfed all over her. And she is just, her emotional well has run dry and she doesn't have anything. And all of a sudden you're going up there wanting to go, hey, baby, you want to make another baby? And she's like, no. Leave me alone. Sleep on the couch. Give me room. I don't want any physical interaction with anybody right now because I've had too much physical interaction today. And we can make that mean, oh, well, she doesn't like me. She doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't want me. She's frigid. We'll come up with all these terms because our wife isn't ready to go boinking when we want to go boinking. So we make physical intimacy mean terrible things when we don't get it. So when we do get it, us guys are like, hot diggity dog, man. She loves me. I did everything right this time. She loves me. She really, it's kind of like off the mask. They love me. They like me. They really, really like me. We have that, almost that type of interaction when our wife says, yeah, let's get naked and let's bump uglies. So, but there's more than just sex when it comes to our types of physical intimacy. There's the hug. If you want to increase the intimacy in your life, if you want to increase the possibility of having the physical intimacy that you want, you can actually help your wife out by just coming up to her and giving her a 6-second hug. Hug her for 6 seconds, 12 seconds, 30 seconds. That extended skin-to-skin contact as your hands touch her arms or her back or the back of her neck, that contact releases all the endorphins and all the other neuroreceptors and oxytocin. I think oxytocin is the love drug. Not a brain scientist in any form, fashion. Don't even play one on a podcast. So, but anyhow, those hugs release those chemicals in your body so that you feel more connected. That's one reason why the time a woman has the most oxytocin in her blood is the moment she holds her newborn child to her chest. When she cradles her newborn child, there is such a bonding that goes on to there. And that bonding happens when the man hugs the wife. The wife feels that the connection is being built. You get that connection also. Hand holding, or what I normally do is when we're walking from Walmart across the parking lot of Walmart, I offer my wife an arm. She takes an arm and we walk that way to the into Walmart. Why? Because that's how we've always done it. That's just how we stay connected. And she may be pissed off at me. There's been times she is not going to take my arm. And then there's times, she's mad at me, but she still will at least hold on to my arm as we cross the street. Because I always offer that arm to her. But we also get that same from hand holding and even shaking hands. Any type of skin-to-skin contact. We're going to have that type of interaction, and we're going to have the needed, we're going to have the building of physical intimacy. So why is it that we want this physical intimacy so much? I mean, we know that with the lack of it causes so much stress, pain, anguish, and and it's just one of those. When we're running low on it, it's like being without sugar for a week. We get grumpy, we get cranky because our brain is hungry for that type of interaction. Our brain is hungry for that oxytocin and the dopamine and the serotonin and the other onins and all the other onins that we produce in our body. And when our brains don't have it, it wigs out going, oh my God, we need this. This is the reason why we have such a hard time putting our phones down. Because that phone provides so much dopamine and serotonin bumps that it's could be easily assumed as being addictive. There's no such thing as addiction. There, we like to associate the word addiction to people who can't put their phone down because they like that steady stream of serotonin. And we have gotten used to that steady stream of serotonin. So when we set it down, all of a sudden our brain's going, oh, it goes into wig out mode. And it starts spazzing out and it starts causing, We start wanting to twitch and shit, So we have to worry when we don't have our phones. We start to worry when we don't get the hugs, the kisses, the attaboys, the pat on the backs, the loving stroke across the shoulder from our wife. Or if we go and offer a handshake to a fellow guy and he just looks at it and doesn't shake your hand, there is a lack. We were anticipating a bump of oxytocin in that because we had a small bond that was forming, and all of a sudden that got denied. So we feel crappy. So our minds want those little rewards. Our mind wants those good jobs. You've continued to help the human race along. But the issue that we run into is that we can all actually become addicted. Well, I'm using the word addiction, though. Again, like I said, there's no such thing as addiction, but we can become so addicted to the touch that guys cheat. Well, women cheat. People cheat because they want it's not because they don't love the other person. They cheat because they aren't getting what they perceive as the right amount of oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, yada, 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 that they want. And they want to try to blame the other person for the lack of it when it's not anybody's fault other than yours. You are the one. If you want to have more oxytocin in your bloodstream, then do things that create more oxytocin. But it's also not a bad thing to deny yourself some oxytocin from time to time. That way, when you actually have a interaction, it feels that much better. So how do we get more physical intimacy? Well, first off, I would say start working on those other 9 intimacies. Allow yourself to feel those emotions. When you're scared that something's going to happen, don't try to run off and avoid being scared. If you feel inadequate because your wife said no, allow yourself to feel that shame of being inadequate for whatever reason. And know that we all run off the model. We all have our own model that we're working with. So you're not able to, if you're not getting the dopamine that you require, or dopamine that you perceive that you require, or the oxytocin that you want, you're not getting the physical intimacy that you want, then what are the thoughts that you're having that are leading to that lack of result? Your thoughts create your emotions. So if you're not having all the sex, as much sex as you want, what thought are you having about the lack of sex? Say the sex that say you were supposed to have sex on Saturday and y'all didn't have it last night. All right. So this morning you get up and you're cranky about it because you were expecting a nice, beautiful flood of oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, any other onins that are out there. It didn't happen. So you wake up this morning, you're kind of a grumble butt. Sorry. Got where I'm at, where the office is now is we are just a football field away. Some of y'all that are on that are watching on YouTube or TikTok, you can see the I-40 right behind me. And so we get truckers that drive by who don't have their load thoroughly secured, and they're just making noises all the way around as they go by. And so I'm kind of worried about how was that going to show up in the recording. So, but from everything I was looking at, I'm not seeing that it really registered much, and hopefully post-processing will take it out. So anyhow, beyond, that's inside baseball stuff. So, but anyhow, so when you wake up and you're being grumpy, what's the thought that you're having? It's probably something along the lines of why am I not good enough to have sex? Something to that effect. Or you're having that thought immediately getting covered up with another thought of, well, she's just frigid. Because we don't like that shame emotion. We don't like the thought that creates the shame. I am not enough. So we hide that up with a different thought. And so that we get really confused and mixed up with, well, it's her fault. Well, okay, you could think that. And because you're thinking that particular thought, your action is probably resentment, probably anger. But we'll stick with resentment because you're resenting her because she decided she promised us last night that we were going to have sex, and she just crawled into bed in her 5 layers of clothing and turned the light off, said goodnight, gave you a kiss, and that was all, and went to sleep. And you're sitting there in your boxers going, what the hey? You know? So you're feeling a little resentful towards the wife. Well, how do you show up being resentful? What are the actions that you take? Remember, the model is your thoughts create your feelings create your actions create your results. So if you're feeling resentful, how are you acting? If you're acting like a spoiled brat, and you're just kind of stomping around and well, you're not being very loving towards your wife. You're not producing the wanted desire, so she's definitely not going to have sex with you. She may have just ate a bad piece of food, and she's feeling like shit, so she just wants to go to bed. So all of a sudden, you're making it mean, again, something to you. You're taking it personally when has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with her. But because we make it personal, all of a sudden we're sitting around going, yeah, never mind. I don't care to, I'm going to sabotage our connection. And sabotaging that connection is exactly what you do. And so, yeah, when it's time that she decides, hey, I was going to have sex with you tonight, but you know what? You're being kind of a rascal. I don't care to deal with you. And so we're done. We're not going to do it tonight. Good luck. Sorry, buddy. We're going to try next week. Which then, if you're not being intentional in your thoughts, you're going to be going, well, yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure we'll be doing it next week. You'll tell me that we're doing it next week until next week comes along. And then all of a sudden you ain't going to want to do it again. I know. I've had these thoughts. I've had these running in victim mode, victim mindset, keeping this circle going. And I did it for 15 years and wondered why, before I changed who I was, why I was only having sex every 3 to 6 months. Yeah, we were going 3 to 6 months. I would sit there, and there was a couple years where I only had sex twice a year. That is a frustrating time. And so you start doing other things that take you out of being a dad, take you out of being a father, take you out of being a husband, takes you out of the game, essentially, because you're too busy feeling sorry for yourself. Do you want more physical intimacy? Then you have to take the time to start working on the emotional aspect, building up the emotional intimacy. Find a church. And if your wife doesn't want to go to church, find out why. What is it about the church that she hates? What type of experience did she actually have? Not what her teacher told her she had, but what experiences did she actually have? And a lot of times you're going to find they didn't. My wife, she did have an experience with church. She had a youth pastor who became a stepdad, who became I don't want to say a narcissist because, I don't think that was him, but he was definitely a very controlling bastard. That's a good way to put that. but he was a youth pastor at the church that her mom and her went to. And so that caused her to associate church with the Gary dude and sees everybody as fake. No. Again, we can look at church in many different ways. You can look at it as it's being a horrible place that everybody is fake, or you can look at it as it's a hospital for sinners. It's not a museum for saints. But again, this is us just trying to get things figured out. We have experiences. Go out. You have to start doing things and having experiences with your wife so y'all can have the intellectual conversations. You go out, you go to church, so you have the spiritual sharing. Y'all talk about your spiritual thoughts and beliefs, and y'all work these through. You don't have to have them, but you start taking some that she likes, and there's nothing wrong with taking those and making them yours. Beliefs are nothing more than thoughts perceived to be true. So you can actually have the thought of, I like that. I like the thought. I like the thought that of what grace theology does, that God loved us so much that he forgave us of all of our sins. Every single one of them. So going through and asking God for forgiveness is asking God for forgiveness of stuff that he's already forgiven us of. So it kind of defeats the purpose. And a lot of people want to throw the thought around of, what's going to keep him from forgiving you for murdering? So does that give you free reign to murder? No, not really, because you still want to try to make your life as best as possible. You still want to live the best life you can for your God. But these are all, you have to work through all of these intimacies, have the discussions, bring up the intellectual discussions, have the experiences of those discussions, have the experiences of you not agreeing with what she said, and then turning around and having a discussion. May even get a little heated at times. There may be some true emotions flaring up. Yet when you are done, you will have a better, stronger relationship, one where she loves and trusts you more because you didn't go running for the hills just because she didn't agree with you. And all of a sudden, holy smokes, she just got finished arguing and her clothes are just falling off. She's naked, looking at you, wondering why you're still clothed. And these happen. They're amazing. They're fun when it happens. A lot of people like to call it makeup sex. Have more makeup sex. That's some of the greatest sex you'll have because y'all are so damn close at that moment. Because you have made up. You came to a resolution. And so things got better. So if you want more physical intimacy, then you have to start having more true intimacies of emotional and such. And a good example of this is look at the college kids and that screwed up world of the hookup culture. They wonder why they can't find anybody. All the women run around, the young women run around and wondering, all there are just guys that want to get laid. Well, you kind of made it easy for them. You didn't give them something to work for. What would happen if you gave him something to work for? You want to know a real guy? Have him work for that sex. Have him abstain from sex until you hear "I do" out of his lips. You do that, you will find an amazing relationship going on there. This is something that I understand young ones have a hard time grasping, have a hard time fully understanding because their bodies are screaming, get laid. But it is the holding off. Can you work on the other intimacies before you have the physical intimacy? I often have had guys do a test where they hold off 30 days. Can you go 30 days without any physical intimacy? That's holding hands, kissing, any of that. If you do, and your girlfriend at the same time, and a lot of times this is what guys that are struggling, wanting to have better relationships with their girlfriends, hold off and try 30 days with no physical, no hand holding, no touching of the back. Y'all can sit, talk, have experiences, all the other intimacy, but physical. Because physical is actually the easiest one to have. But when you add the emotional, intellectual, spiritual, experiential, social, creative, conflict, aesthetic, and work all together, and you throw that into a ball and then you ignite it with physical intimacy, you're going to have a better sex life. You're going to have a better relationship all around, because your relationship isn't based on the physical intimacy. It's based on the fact that y'all share each other, share your emotions with each other. Y'all have the discussions that allow yourselves to expand, grow, and become better. You're able to fight it out because you know she's not going to run for the hills. She knows you're not going to run for the hills. Y'all are going to have a great relationship. So what are you going to do? What is the steps that are needed? Well, you need to work on those other intimacies. If you're struggling on getting laid more often, then stop worrying about getting laid so much. Soften about that. Soften yourself around that and start working more on all the other intimacies. The physical intimacy will come along because, again, your wife kind of controls that aspect of it. And when you can have a good, solid discussion without running away or without having to worry about, trying to manipulate her emotions so that she feels, a little more turned on, you're going to find that your sex life is better. You're going to have a better relationship. Y'all's relationship is going to be stronger. You're going to trust each other a hell of a lot more. Can you do that? Yes, you can. And if you want help on doing that, hit me up. You can go to relaxedmale.com/try coaching. And this is a free deal. There's no money involved. I'm not even going to hit you up on it. And you can go and you can head up, get a free coaching session, a little 30-minute power coaching session. We'll try it out and you can get to see, okay, I see what coaching is about. Because a lot of us guys, we don't know what it is. We think, oh my gosh, we're going to sit around and talk about our life. And that sounds so freaking boring. And it is. If you're talking about your life with no goal in sight, it is. It's a boring discussion. You don't have much to talk about. You're just kind of like, all right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw a deer the other day. Oh, okay. Doesn't mean anything. But when you have a purpose involved, when you have a goal in sight, things get better. Things become stronger, and you become more determined to achieve that goal. So if you would like to see what coaching is like, if you'd like to have a little sample coaching session, all you have to do is go to relaxedmale.com/try coaching and see what we have there. So guys, with that, I want to say thank you very much. Guys, if y'all are listening on any of the streams, thank you again for watching also. And guys, I appreciate everything that you've done. If anything that was talked about here resonated with you, struck a bell with you, and you're thinking about somebody who could benefit from listening to this, share it with them. All of our podcast apps that out there now have some form of share capability. All you have to do is hit that share button, send it as a text message going, hey, dude, I think this is going to help you out tremendously. Hey, man, I found this really powerful. Whatever it is you want to say, send it off to them. Put it out on Facebook, Instagram, X, wherever it is you want to put it up. And let the other guys in your community know that, hey, there is a podcast out there that is helping men change how they approach their relationship, change how they are seeing the world so that they can actually have a better life. So guys, let them know, share it out, share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your cousins, your best friend. And we'll see y'all next week, because next week we're going to, we got a special guest. We're going to have Don Wiggins coming on next week on top of that. And that's a good one to watch. So guys, thanks again for watching. Y'all take care. Catch y'all later. Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so very much there, TikTok. All right. What's that button do? 380 viewers. That was nice. All right. Well, guys, thank y'all again for watching. We will catch y'all next time if I can figure out where the button is. Button. Who's got the button? All right. Well, where the heck is it? Oh, there it is. It's hidden by the light bulb. End now. All right. And there we go. OBS, open up OBS YouTube. All right, guys.